Welcome to the Forklift Safety Certification Program. Lesson 1: Fundamentals. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify forklift types and differences, identify basic key features of the forklift, identify essential controls found on the forklift, identify safety features of the forklift. Definition of forklift trucks and their types. Forklift trucks are part of a family of work vehicles known as powered industrial trucks. There are many different kinds of forklifts. Some of the more common ones are four-wheel sit-downs powered by gasoline, liquid propane gas, diesel, or electricity. Here is a Class 1 electric motor rider truck. This is a Class 2 electric motor narrow aisle truck. This is a Class 3 electric motor hand truck or hand rider truck. Here you have a Class 4 internal combustion engine truck with solid or cushion tires. Here is a Class 5 internal combustion engine truck with air or pneumatic tires. And here is a Class 7 rough terrain forklift. This is a commonly used industrial forklift truck, and here are the key features of this forklift truck. Number 1, overhead guard. Number 2, engine compartment. Number 3, frame. Number 4, fork. Number 5, carriage. Number 6, hydraulic system. Number 7, mast operating lever. Number 8, lifting chain. Number 9, mast. Number 10, crosshead. Before driving any lift truck, you must read the operator's manual to become familiar with the particular truck you will be using. Lift truck operators are expected to observe and follow all warning details posted on the vehicle. When starting a lift truck, for safety reasons, only enter or exit a lift truck when the parking brake is applied. Never jump on or off a moving lift truck. With most lift trucks, you step up and into the operator compartment using available handrails and steps for assistance. Once you are seated, adjust the seat so that all controls are easily reachable and fasten the seatbelt. Set the directional controls to neutral. Apply the brake and disengage the clutch. Start the engine. Make sure that your entire body, including hands and feet, stay within the operator compartment at all times. Do not put any part of your body within the mast mechanism, reach mechanism, or any of the other attachments on the truck. Stopping a lift truck. Come to a complete stop with all controls in the neutral position before exiting a lift truck. Apply the parking brake and lower the forks completely before turning the truck off. Exit the truck back first using the appropriate hand and foot holds to steady yourself as you step down from the truck. Using a lift truck. Lift trucks should only be used for their intended purpose in designated areas. Make sure that your lift truck is properly rated for the specific work area and the conditions of the job site. Both OSHA and the National Fire Protection Association have created specifications for lift trucks working in hazardous areas. Under certain conditions, you may be required to wear protective equipment that is appropriately rated for the environment you are working in. Lift trucks are often used in warehouses or areas with rows and intersecting aisles. Because of this, an operator must stay alert due to the high density of the people and equipment being moved in the vicinity. General lift truck operation rules. Lift trucks are often used in warehouses or areas with rows and intersecting aisles. This creates traffic patterns. You must stay alert while driving due to the high density of people and equipment being moved in the vicinity. Wondering how to keep a safety check while you are driving a lift truck? The following safety rules will help you drive safely. Here are the workplace safety rules. Follow traffic safety rules. Observe all safety rules and traffic regulations, including those posted by the company or facility. Follow company policies. Follow established company policies for operating in traffic patterns. Stay within the designated lanes or aisles. Keep right. Keep to the right unless instructed otherwise. Position the load and fork safely. Travel with the load tilted back and the forks in the lowest position allowed by the driving surface or terrain. Make way for pedestrians. Yield the right of way to pedestrians. Never assume that pedestrians are aware of you. If you need to pass a pedestrian, sound your horn and make eye contact. Slow down at intersections. Slow down and sound horn at intersections, blind spots, or other dangerous locations. Check convex mirrors posted at corners. Slow down and proceed cautiously on wet and slippery surfaces. Manage controls. Keep the truck under control at all times. Make starts, stops, turns, or directional changes in a smooth manner to avoid a load shift that could lead to an overturned truck. Never drive recklessly. Maintain a safe distance of at least 3 truck lengths when following another vehicle. Never drive recklessly. Do not overtake. Never pass another truck traveling in the same direction. Lesson 2. Stability and Capacity. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to recognize how the forklift functions as a lever system to lift its load. Identify the definition and location for the center of gravity for the unloaded lift. Identify the definition and location of the stability triangle on the forklift. Identify the definition and location of a forklift combined center of gravity, how it changes with the position of load, and how it determines the stability of the forklift. Identify weight restrictions and load limits. Forklift, a lever system. The position of the load as well as the height off the floor of the forks is very important. When in a raised position, the load can cause the mass to act as a lever and the drive axle as a fulcrum, which may cause a tip over. This is why turns and sudden stops with a raised load are dangerous. Operating the mass during movement is not recommended. Center of gravity and stability triangle. The triangle is calculated from the center of the steer axle to both drive wheels. The center of gravity is represented by the highlighted dot in the triangle, pictured as the center of gravity on an empty truck. Weight restrictions and load capacity. Every forklift has a capacity plate located where an operator can read it. It is a federal regulation that the load chart be accurate and legible. Before loading a forklift, the load chart must be checked to see if the truck you are operating has the capacity to lift and carry a load. Capacity ratings are usually based on a 24 inches load center, measured 24 inches from the face of the forks and 24 inches from the top of the forks. The center of this imaginary cube is the load center. When a load is moved outside of the 24 inches center line, there is a decrease in the amount of weight that can be handled safely. Lesson 3. Load handling. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to list the necessary requirements before picking up a load. List the correct steps and practices in picking up a load. Identify the correct height to travel with a load. State the correct method to negotiate grades or ramps with both a loaded and unloaded forklift. List the correct steps and practices in setting down a load. List the correct steps and procedures when working with stacks. Requirements before lifting load. Once the controls of the lift truck you are going to operate become familiar, you must familiarize yourself with the correct way to engage, pick up, carry, deposit, and disengage loads. If the load is loose, unbalanced, or not secure, reposition the load to balance it. Move the items closer together to tighten up the load. Strap the items together. Here are some do's and don'ts when lifting loads. Before engaging any load, check the weight of the load to make sure it does not exceed the capacity of the lift truck. Inspect each load prior to moving it. If the pallet that the load sits on is damaged, transfer the load onto a pallet in good condition prior to moving it. Do not move a load if you question the load's condition or weight. Do not move a load until it has been weighed and or secured. Picking up a load. Fork spacing. Check the fork spacing after stabilizing the load and prior to engaging it. The best fork spacing is at least 2/3 the length of the load adjusted for even spacing between pallet stringers and maximum width. Square with the load. Before engaging the load, the truck needs to be square with the load. Raise the forks so they are just clear of the pallet opening. Approach slowly until the load just touches the carriage. Be careful not to bump into the load being engaged. Fully engage. Make sure that the load does not exceed the height of the backrest. Raise the load 4 to 6 inches enough to clear the surface it is resting on. Pay close attention to the overhead clearance, looking out for the overhead obstructions. Do not pick up a load unless it is fully engaged. Tilt the mast back a bit to cradle the load. Check the sides of the load. Check behind the truck. Sound the horn and carefully back the truck out. Rest extension. For extremely large loads, rest extensions are available to help stabilize them. The load should not exceed the height of the back rest extension. Traveling with a load. Keep the load under control and proceed to the destination to unload. Keep the load as low as possible. It will keep the truck stabilized and avoid overhead obstructions. It also provides the best viewing area while transporting loads. If the forward view is obstructed by the load, drive in reverse. However, be careful and do not make an on-the-go change of direction when carrying a load. Here are some best practices while traveling with a load. Always move at a safe rate that allows for controlled maneuvers. Acceleration, turns, deceleration, and stops should all be smooth and carefully executed. When approaching a corner, slow down, sound the horn, and stay near the inside corner. At corners, the correct way to turn is to start turning when the inside drive wheel reaches the corner. Always sound the horn or use a spotter when approaching a ramp entrance while carrying a load. Caution should be exercised whenever encountering corners, dangerous surfaces, or ramps. Avoid raising a load while traveling. Raising the height of the load can drastically change the truck's stability. Never allow pedestrians or other traffic to move under a raised load. Negotiating grades and ramps. The areas you'll be operating your truck in as well as the surfaces you operate on may vary. Often, the surfaces will not be smooth or continuous. Reduce speed on slick or uneven surfaces and never run over loose objects or through holes. When working on an elevated surface, such as a dock or pier, maintain a safe distance from the edge during all maneuvers. Downhill and uphill grades, such as ramps, require extra caution. If traveling empty regardless of direction, always drive with the truck's forks pointing down the grade. When moving a load regardless of direction, always move with the forks pointing up the grade. Setting down loads. A load is deposited in the reverse order of picking it up. The inching pedal on some trucks allows the operator to creep the truck into position during extremely slow maneuvers. By using the inching pedal, the engine speed is increased, which creates an increase in lift speeds. Simple unloading consists of placing the load on the floor and disengaging it. Follow these steps to deposit the load. Move the load over the selected location. Tilt the mast to vertical and slowly lower the load to the floor. Check behind the truck, sound the horn, and carefully back away to disengage the truck's forks. Working with stacks, steps, and procedures. Keeping a few points in mind while stacking or lowering a load will help in safely depositing them. If the load needs to be stacked, follow these steps to safely stack them. Line the truck up squarely with the area where the load will be stacked. Tilt the mast forward so it is straight upwards and downwards. If the truck is equipped with a side shift, it should be adjusted right or left to center the load. Raise the load evenly with the stacking level. Slowly creep forward to locate the load over the unloading point while maintaining the correct stacking alignment. When the load is in position, lower it slowly and squarely until the weight of the load is fully in contact with the stack below it. Check behind the truck, sound the horn, and slowly back up. When the forks are safely disengaged from the load, stop the truck and lower the forks 4 to 6 inches above the floor. While lowering a load, keep these things in mind. Avoid overlowering the carriage to the point where there is slack in the chains. When the truck backs away from the load, the carriage will then drop, causing extreme stress on the lift chains. If the load needs to be adjusted, pick it back up and reposition. Do not shove the load around with the truck forks. Lesson 4: Safe Driving. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to list the differences between a forklift and an automobile, recognize conditions that could be hazardous for forklift operation, identify safe practices for working around pedestrians, identify safe practices for working around docks. Forklifts and automobiles. Lift trucks are different from automobiles. They're designed for very different uses than automobiles and have few things in common. As a result, the training needed to operate an automobile is not enough when it comes to using a lift truck. Specific training and instruction is needed for different trucks in different jobs. Some lift trucks may have special attachments for use on certain jobs, such as roll clamps, carton clamps, side shifters, and slip sheets. Besides knowing how to operate a lift, the operator will have to be trained to operate any attachments as well. Hazardous conditions for forklift operation. OSHA and the National Fire Protection Association have created specifications for lift trucks working in hazardous areas. These specifications include special safety features on the truck that reduce the risk of a fire or an explosion. Operating an internal combustion engine lift truck in an enclosed area can be dangerous if that area is not well ventilated. Under certain conditions, you may be required to wear protective equipment that is appropriately rated for the environment you're working in. Here are some potentially hazardous conditions you should consider when operating a forklift. Turning radius. The turning radius on a lift truck is very tight. The operator must be aware of the arcing motion of the rear end swing. In tight turns, the rear end swings out and around the outside of the drive wheel path. If an operator is negligent, rear end swing can result in damage or injury. Varying surfaces. The area you will be operating your truck in as well as the surfaces you operate on vary. Often the surfaces will not be smooth or continuous. Reduce your speed on slick or uneven surfaces and never run over loose objects or through holes. Uphill and downhill navigation. Downhill and uphill grades such as a ramp require extra caution. If traveling empty, regardless of direction, always drive with the truck's forks pointing down the grade. When moving a load, regardless of direction, always move with the forks pointing up the grade. Working around pedestrians. While working around pedestrians, make sure you maintain a clear view of the path of travel, observing other traffic, pedestrians, and obstacles. Yield the right-of-way to pedestrians. Never give rides to pedestrians. Never assume that pedestrians are aware of you. Sound horn, make eye contact, and only then pass a pedestrian. Never allow pedestrians to move under a raised load. Park the truck away from pedestrian traffic. Working around docks. When working on an elevated surface, such as a dock or pier, maintain a safe distance from the edge during all maneuvers. Before entering any trailer with a lift truck, make sure that the trailer or rail car can handle the additional. The trailer or rail car is secure against movement. The brakes on the rail car are set. The trailer has its wheels chocked. The trailer, if not attached to the tractor, should use jack stands or other reliable means of support. Lesson 5. Safety Standards. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to state the proper way to leave a forklift, identify the reasons that lead to a tip-over accident, identify the correct response to a tip-over accident. Leaving a forklift. There are two ways of parking a lift truck, attended and unattended. Attended parking. A powered lift truck is considered attended when the operator is less than 25 feet away and the truck remains in view. The engine can be left running while the operator is off the truck if the directional control is set to neutral, the parking brake is set, the forks are lowered completely and tilted slightly forward to keep the ends against the floor. Unattended parking. If the operator is over 25 feet from the truck or the truck is out of view, it is considered unattended and must be parked and powered down. The procedure for unattended parking is: set the directional control to neutral, park the truck in a designated area, lower the forks to the ground and set the parking brake, turn off the engine. For a liquefied petroleum truck, turn the service valve on the LP bottle off. Park on level surfaces if possible, otherwise, chock the wheels. Park the truck away from heat sources, aisles, stairways, pedestrian traffic, railroad tracks, or fire and safety equipment. Reasons leading to a tip-over. Tip-overs are the #1 cause of lift truck fatalities. A tip-over can occur because of overloading, sharp turns, abrupt braking, excessive speed, striking overhead obstructions, driving over uneven surfaces, driving incorrectly on ramps. All of these actions can cause a lift truck to tip over. Strictly following accepted guidelines and procedures is the best way to avoid this. Responding to a tip-over accident. If you should become involved in a tip-over, do not jump from the truck. The seatbelt and framework around the operator's compartment are designed to protect the operator. In a tip-over situation, remain seated with your seatbelt fastened. Hold onto the steering wheel, brace yourself and lean away from the fall. Most fatalities occur when the operator is not wearing a seatbelt or attempts to jump from the truck. Lesson 6. Inspection and Maintenance. At the end of this lesson, you'll be able to identify when the forklift must be inspected, identify which equipment must be inspected and correct procedure for the inspection of each item, recognize how to resolve equipment problems, identify the precautions that must be taken to avoid refueling hazards associated with battery, propane, and gasoline or diesel forklifts, list the required steps for refueling battery, propane, and gasoline or diesel-powered forklifts. Forklift inspection. A pre-operation inspection is now required under OSHA guidelines. When performed on a daily basis, these checks will improve safety and increase productivity. Before the start of each work shift, the operator must perform a daily inspection on the lift truck. The daily inspection is a two-part checking routine, which includes a visual inspection and an operating inspection. After the daily inspection, any routine maintenance must be performed. During the visual examination, the items to be inspected include the following: operator manual. Check if all the proper decals are on the truck. Check if the operator's manual is on the truck. Load chart. Check if the data plate is in place on the truck. Check if the truck or data plate have been modified. Check if the data plate is damaged or unreadable. Sheet metal. Check if there are any covers or sheet metal missing, cracked, broken, or deformed. Check if the latching devices are working properly. Overhead guard. Check if the overhead guard or its legs are bent or cracked. Check if all the fasteners are secure. Tires and wheels. Check if large pieces of tire are missing. Check if lug bolts are missing or loose. Check if wheel hubs are damaged. Check if tires are inflated properly. Fluid levels. Check if all fluids are at the proper level. Check if lubrication has been applied on schedule. Drive axle. Check if the drive axle is leaking. Forks. Check if the forks are bent, cracked, or worn. Check if the fork stops are in place. Check if the fork locks work correctly. Load backrest. Check if the load backrest is twisted, bent, or cracked. Check if the mounting bolts are secured. Hydraulic oil. Check if the oil is filled to the proper level. Check if the oil is clean and clear. Check if there are any visible leaks. Check if there are any drips beneath the truck. Engine oil. Check if the oil is filled to the proper level. Check if there are any visible leaks. Check if there are any drips beneath the truck. Cooling system. Check if the radiator is filled to the proper level. Check if there are any leaks from hoses, the water pump, radiator, or engine. Check if there are any puddles beneath the truck. Check if the hose clamp and fan belts are tight. Check if the fan belt is worn or cracked. Battery and connector. Check if the connectors are tight and free of corrosion. Check if the battery electrolyte is at the proper level. Check if the hold down is secure. Operating equipment. During the operating equipment inspection, the following will be evaluated. Seat. Check if the frame is cracked. Check if the cushions are properly attached to the frame. Restraint system. Check if there is an operator restraint system in place and does its functioning. Check if the seat belt or harness is worn. Check if the latching device lock and unlock properly. Check if the truck has a tether and it operates properly. Check if the tether is frayed or cracked. Horn. Check if the horn functions properly. Gauges and instruments. Check if all the gauges work. Check if any of the gauge lenses are cracked or clouded. Check if all indicator lights illuminate when the key switch is in the on position. Battery test. Check if the indicator shows full charge after the battery is replaced. Accelerator. Check if the accelerator operates smoothly. Control levers. Check if the levers move smoothly. Check if each function activate properly when the control lever is operated. Check if the levers return to their centered position properly. Directional controls. Check if the directional controls move smoothly. Check if the direction becomes active when selected, and does the truck move in that direction. Check if the control returns to its centered position properly. Drive axle. Check if there are any unusual noises coming from the axle when the truck is moving. Steering. Check if the steering wheel and steer axle turn smoothly lock to lock. Check the steering bind. Check if there are any unusual noises while steering. Headlights and taillights. Check if all lights illuminate when turned on. Check if any bulbs are dim or burned out. Warning lights. Check if all warning lights illuminate properly. Backup alarm. Check if the alarm sounds when the truck is put in reverse. Brakes. Check if the brake pedal is high and firm when applied. Check if the pedal slowly sinks down when pressure is applied for a 10-second period. Service brakes. Check if the service brake holds the truck in place when applied. Check if the service brake is set to the manufacturer's specifications. Parking brakes. Check if the parking brake holds the truck in place when applied. Check if the parking brake is set to the manufacturer's specifications. Seat brakes. Check if the seat brake holds the truck in place when applied. Check if the seat brake is adjusted properly. Mast. Check if the mast moves up and down smoothly. Check if there is any visual damage to the channels. Check if any of the rollers are cracked or non-moving. Check if the mast sinks back down. Check if there are any frayed or cracked hoses. Check if there is any hydraulic oil leaking anywhere. Tilt. Check if the mast tilts back and forth smoothly. Check if the mast drifts forward or backwards. Check if any cylinders are leaking. Check if all retainer pins are in place. Carriage. Check if the carriage bars are bent. Check if the notches on the top of the carriage are worn. Check if the fork locks are in place. Check if the carriage is loose in the channels. Check if the carriage leans as it goes up or down. Check if any rollers are missing. Check if the rollers all move smoothly inside the mast channels. Check if the chains are attached properly. Check if the chains are lubricated. Check if the chains are rusty. Check if the chain tension is even. Check if there is excessive play in the chain when it is lowered. Check if the attachment performs properly. Check if the attachment is mounted securely to the carriage. Check if the attachment is damaged. Resolving equipment problems. If at any time a lift truck is found to be defective, in need of repair, or unsafe, the truck must be taken out of service. Your supervisor should be notified immediately and made aware of the items that failed the inspection. Once the problems have been corrected and the truck has been restored to a safe condition, it can be put back to work. Precautions while refueling gasoline and diesel engines. Individuals who refuel lift trucks must be properly trained for the type of fuel and truck being used. Refueling should take place in a well-ventilated area following set procedures and general safety rules. Never refuel near sparking equipment or high heat sources. Never smoke while refueling. Know the location of the nearest fire safety equipment and how to use it. Steps to refuel gasoline or diesel engines. Park the truck in a designated refueling area before gasoline or diesel refueling. Place the directional control in neutral and engage the parking brake. Lower the forks to the ground and angle the tips down. Turn the key switch to the off position before fueling. Do not add fuel to an overheated truck. Be sure to use the correct fuel for the truck. Fill the tank slowly to avoid overfilling. If any fuel is spilled, wash down the area with water. If any leaks are detected in the fuel system, do not operate the truck until the problem has been corrected. Precautions while refueling liquid petroleum gas engines. In the lift truck industry, liquefied petroleum gas or LPG has become a very common fuel for internal combustion lift trucks. Here are the precautions to be taken before refueling a truck with LPG. Park the truck in the designated refueling area before refueling. Place the directional control in neutral and engage the parking brake. Lower the forks to the ground and angle the tips down. Leave the engine running. Close the service valve mounted in the LP bottle. Allow the truck to run until the engine is out of fuel and quits. Turn the key switch off. Try to restart your truck. If the truck starts and runs, all the fuel has not cleared out of the lines. You must wear protective clothing before changing an LP bottle, including long sleeves, gauntlet gloves, and eye protection. Steps to refuel LPG engines. After all the fuel is cleared from the lines and the truck fails to restart, follow these steps to refuel an LPG engine. Uncouple the hose from the service valve. Unlock the restraint bracket that holds the bottle in place on the truck and remove the bottle. Note that LP gas bottles must be stored in an approved outside area with the service valve in the off position. Reverse the procedure with a full bottle and reinstall it onto the truck. Check the new bottle for any damage, like dent or nicks, and make sure that the service valve is in the off position. Position the LP bottle over the locator pin and relatch the restraint brackets. After reattaching the LP hose to the service valve, slowly open the valve. Do not open the valve too quickly. This will cause the back pressure relief valve to shut off the fuel supply. Note, if this occurs, close the service valve for 5 seconds and then slowly reopen the valve. As the valve is being opened, pay attention for the smell of LP gas. Close the valve immediately if you smell any gas and remove the bottle. Mark or tag the faulty bottle and replace it with another good bottle. Precautions during battery maintenance. Before any battery maintenance is performed, you need to put on the appropriate protective equipment. This gear consists of eye or face protection, rubber gloves, long sleeves, and an apron. Battery acid is highly corrosive and can cause severe burns to the eyes and skin. If you come in contact with acid, go to the nearest wash station immediately and run water over the area for at least 15 minutes. Then seek medical attention. When it becomes necessary to remove a battery, make sure that you use the proper equipment. Place the battery connector on top of the battery that needs to be moved. Lift truck batteries often weigh thousands of pounds and can cause serious injuries if handled improperly. Before moving the battery, make sure that it is properly secured and positioned. Use caution when closing the battery. Steps to charge batteries. Charging a battery in an electric power truck is very different from the routine of refueling an internal combustion engine truck. Once the battery has been depleted, follow these steps to charge the battery. Park the lift truck in the designated charging area. This well-ventilated area should be free from sparks and high heat sources. Note, the top of the battery must not come in contact with any metal objects, or electrical shorts can occur. Place the directional control in neutral and engage the parking brake. Lower the forks to the ground and angle the tips down. Turn the key switch to the off position. Open the battery compartment fully and allow hydrogen gas to vent off and heat buildup to subside. Check the battery charger and make sure it is set in the off position. Disconnect the battery connector from the truck and attach it to the connector on the battery charger. Note, never plug the connector on the battery charger into the connector mounted on the truck. This can severely damage the lift truck. Inspect the cables and connector on the battery for any damage. If there is no damage, turn on the charger and follow the manufacturer's charging instructions.
Welcome to Module 30203, Forklifts. Objective 7, Performance Task 6. Perform the proper hand and verbal signals for forklift operations. Hand signals. When a forklift operator cannot see all areas in which they are moving a load clearly, they must use a spotter or signal person. Spotters can use either hand signals or electronic communication devices. No matter which type of communication you are using, remember to check the position of the sun to prevent blind spots. Hand signal. Number 1. Raise the tines. 2. Lower the tines. 3. Tilt the mast back. 4. Tilt the mast forward. 5. Move tines in the direction of your finger point. Number 6. Dog everything. Number 7. Stop. Although an operator generally only receives signals from a single spotter, they must follow the stop signal no matter who signals it.